How's it going, everybody? Hope everyone's doing well, staying safe and healthy as always. A little bit about what I've been up to this week. Honestly, just been staying busy with school, work, and my internship. Juggling all of those has kept me really occupied, so I'm just happy I made it to Friday, and I'm happy you guys did the same. So that's great. With that being said, we can go ahead and get started on the Composer Report 6. I went ahead and chose Ennio Morricone for the composer. I was really excited to do this one because of his hand in film and scoring a lot of the films that I am a personal fan of. He has work as doing scoring for films such as The Hateful Eight and Inglourious Bastards. And Inglourious Bastards is one of my favorite movies, so it was a no-brainer. I had to choose Ennio Morricone. So we'll go ahead and get started talking a little bit about his background, and then we can go ahead and talk a little bit about the piece I pulled for you guys. So, Ennio Morricone was born on November 10th, 1928, and he actually had recently passed away at the age of 91 in 2020. But within his lifespan, he had a prolific and pretty decorated career as a film composer and film arranger, scorer. So he actually, throughout his career, he went ahead and scored for around 500 films, which I think is just a mind-boggling number. And I think that's just an achievement in itself. And he's actually done scoring for for big name films. Like a lot of them are a lot of foreign films. I mean, a lot of them are internationally recognized films, but some films that are worth noting are John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982, and a lot of the spaghetti westerns, Fistful of Dollars, and stuff like that from the 60s, which is where he actually got a lot of his traction for his career, which we can get into right now. But he actually won his first Academy Award in doing scoring for The Hateful Eight, which I thought was pretty interesting. Throughout his whole career, he only won one Academy Award. He's decorated with a lot of internationally recognized awards, but I think it's pretty crazy that he only won one Oscar. But for ample reason, I think the scoring for The Hateful Eight actually made that film. So I think it's well deserved. But with that being said, we can go ahead and talk a little bit about his composition style and like a little bit about his technique. What I kind of read and kind of figured out. But he's known for using the technique of microcelling, which is a pseudo-serial approach to incorporating modal and tonal illusions. And that is actually seen a lot in one of his solo compositions that didn't accompany any film that he did for himself on his own accord, for a single cello, and it's 3 movements. It's the name of Rifalesi, and it was introduced in 1989, and it's a very intimate symphony. It's a very intimate work that I definitely would recommend you guys go and check out. Just using one instrument to do a whole composition, I think, is an interesting concept as it is. So I think it's really well done here, very consistent, which I enjoy a lot. You know, there's really not like much thinking that you have to do. There really isn't a lot of expressionism. It's very tonal. So I definitely recommend you guys go and check that out if you guys like that kind of thing. A little bit more about his career. His rise to stardom began in the 1960s with spaghetti westerns, which, if you don't know, those are foreign-made Western films, primarily made from the Italian production style. So they took a lot of the American influence from the Western style of filming, and then they kind of just put their own spin on it using the foreign film techniques to create these films. One noteworthy title to go and check out if you haven't is A Fistful of Dollars, starring Clint Eastwood. That movie's really great. I think that's a great representative of spaghetti westerns, and if you were to watch spaghetti westerns, you're going to realize that they have very big influence on pop culture and how films are made and what we look for in films today. So I definitely go ahead. I would go ahead and recommend you guys to go and check that out as well, along with Morricone's work. And yeah, go to see what you interpret and how you enjoy it. Um, but besides that, he was known for using the ocarina a lot for doing the sound effects for these films. He would do a lot of whistling, a lot of creaking in the wind, gunshots, even vocal yells and screams with the ocarina. And if you don't know what the ocarina is actually an Italian origin instrument, which it was a wind vessel. It was a vessel flute-like instrument that had holes on the top. It's usually made out of some kind of like clay or some kind of glass. And it's pretty handy, and you can pretty much take it like around with you. Like it's pretty portable. So, he would always be found messing around with the ocarina and kind of just more or less not making music, but seeing the sounds he could produce with it. So I think that's really cool, just being a technician, not only just a composer, but an audio technician to a certain degree. So I think like that kind of makes him a very multifaceted and very versatile individual that he was. Um, the unorthodox composition technique that I found pretty interesting was that Morricone really never composed in front of an instrument. He always kind of just did it at his desk, and he would just imagine the way the orchestration would sound, and he only would just bring a pencil and some scoring paper and pretty much just compose like that using completely his imagination, which I think is just like an insane feat of genius in its own way. Like I think that's an insane way to just go about music, just not even consider utilizing any sort of instrument to prototype or even like map out the way that a composition is going to sound, just kind of hoping or just pretty much assuming that the composition is going to come out exactly how it sounds in your head. So I think that's really interesting. Like I think that's a really, really, really unique way to kind of go about scoring and composing, especially when you have to do it for films. Having like the visual aspect and not really like putting 100% soul purpose towards the way that the music sounds, but more or less how it's going to complement a visualization aspect to your medium. I think that's a really, really interesting way to go about it. So with that being said, I went ahead and chose Rabbia y Tarantella, which is a Tarantella. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but Tarantella Italian folk music derivative, which is very popular. Like, as if you hear like in like Italian restaurants and stuff like that. It's very folky. It has like almost like a jig, a rhythm tempo to it. And if you were to listen to it, you know what I mean. But like that's the best way I can explain it. You can kind of hear a little bit of the microselling and the serial aspect of his composition style in this piece, because it's very consistent with the rhythm. There's only one rhythm switch, and that just means that it just goes a little bit quicker. But that's like towards like the end anyway. So pretty much throughout the entirety of this piece, it's a very consistent gallop / jig rhythm, with the instrument sound and selection sounding very traditional Italian, traditional European. There's some accordion in there. There's some sounds like some trombone, some trumpet, along with the violin or viola, on top of the very jig-like Italian folk sound. So I think like that has something to do with the theme of the movie that it was actually primarily featured in, which is Inglourious Basterds. And if I remember correctly, this is the song that ends the film. So it's very confident and triumphant as the credits roll. You're treated to this very, very prideful feeling song that I think really complements the way that the movie ends. I would say this is a conjunct piece because of the fact that the melody doesn't really change all too much either. It's pretty consistent, and it's used generally like with the same note profile throughout the whole thing. I think it just when the tempo kind of ramps up a little bit, they kind of just go a couple of octaves higher with the melody. So there's really no like crazy out of left field melody switch along with the tempo. But along with that, I would probably say that this is a tonal piece. Like there's a home note in every single meter. So you know, like I said, the melody is very consistent. And that is about it. Looking at my notes. Actually, this score, I mean, this composition was actually originally scored into the 1974 foreign Italian film A Lansen Fan. So they actually took this song and pretty much imported it into the Inglourious Bastard score, which I thought was pretty interesting because it seems like they do that. He does that a lot. He used to do that a lot with the more recent modern work, was take a lot of the music that he had previously composed and kind of just implemented it or imported it into the more modern films that he was assigned. So that's just another interesting technique of Ennio Morricone, and the reason why he's such an established and well-known household name at this point within the film industry and within just pop culture in general. So with that being said, I hope you guys had a great week and are gonna have a great weekend. And until then, I'll see you guys later. You guys take care.